Hi, everyone. My name is Ashna, and welcome back to Endless Becoming. I have a special topic that I want to talk about today, and I've kind of touched on it in previous videos, but what I want to talk about is friends or social, like this social area of life in general. Um, I know I've mentioned this before very fleetingly, but I have always been someone who relies a lot on external validation in a way which, and like that's something that manifested in my friendships. I found validation through my friends. So, what that means is I believed that I was deserving of love. Wow, we're getting right into it. This is like a serious thing. As I'm talking, I'm like, damn, this is like real deep, real serious. But I believed that I was only deserving of love if I had people around me that were telling me I was deserving of love. So, what does this look like? I have someone who calls me her best friend. I have someone who wants to tell me what's going on in her life or their lives. That means that I am deserving of love because these people love me. You can see how this might be a house of cards that all of my self love and like self confidence and self image is built on. Because what happened the second, actually, no, what would happen when friends would leave? I would immediately doubt myself. My confidence would go down. I'd be filled with the level of shame. I always felt shame when I lost a friend, and I couldn't, I would never have identified it as shame. But looking back, I have always held on to my friends so tightly because I'm afraid of what it says about me if I lose them. Damn, as I'm talking, I feel that fear right in my heart. So, most of my life, I actually didn't even realize this. I have always had one or two people I've always called best friend. I've always had someone, for the most part, that I've talked to on a daily basis, a girlfriend who has, like mutually involved me in her life as much as I've involved her in my life. And the person might have changed, but it's always been like similar people. And I've like, up until last year, I always felt so secure in my friendships. And that's not to say I've never like felt insecure in my friendships, but I was always like, I have that one or two people that call me their best friend. I feel validated. I feel loved. I am loved. They love me. So I know I should love myself. They love me. So I know there are parts of myself to love. They love me. So I don't have to look too hard at what my self-love levels actually look like. Well, as it happens, last year I went through a period last summer where I felt like my entire support system that I had so painstakingly built collapsed. People who I called my best friends kind of left. Even people who I didn't call my best friends, like I feel like I would text people to hang out. I would text people in general. I wouldn't be getting texts back. My calls would go unanswered. No one would ever call me back. And my entire self image crumbled. Now, okay, I'm not going to say it'll crumble just because of my social life, but I feel like that really contributed to how hard I fell. Because among other things, I've been going through this like massive what I'm going to call awakening over the last couple of years. And what I mean by awakening, it literally means coming to terms with who I am minus all programming around me. What do I mean by programming? Programming what teachers, parents, friends, social media, movie, TV, what all of that has taught me about myself. I feel like I've adopted a lot of definitions, not because definitions and beliefs, not because I truly believe in them, but because I've heard it so many times from other people, from people who I've considered mentors or role models, or I've watched a TV show 10 times or whatever. I've watched like a series of TV shows 10 times and they've like said something about success looks like XYZ, and now I'm like, "Oh, success looks like XYZ." I don't even know where I heard it, but it's been buried in my head. And I think programming can be a negative thing and also a positive thing. Like, for example, maybe I'm on social media, I'm going on a little tangent, and I hear something about a psychologist is talking about something, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to adopt that. I consider that to be programming as well because do I believe that? Or did I just hear someone who I like say something and I took that to be my own because I like them and I like what they said? There's a fine line. That could still be my belief, but I've really been questioning a lot of what I hold to be true and making sure that it is truly me, my soul, my heart, my mind that believe it to be true, not, oh, so and so said this, so it must be true. For all y'all who've seen The Matrix, highly recommend it. But I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the guest speaker on this podcast said something like, we were supposed to take the red pill, not swallow the whole bottle. So if you know The Matrix, um, that makes sense. If it doesn't, go watch The Matrix. But it basically means like we were supposed to awaken ourselves, not take like everything someone or something says to be true as fact. We were just supposed to awaken our critical thinking skills, not awaken critical thinking and then be like, okay, everything you, this person, this group, this political party, whatever it may be, says is true. So I'm going to blindly adopt everything they say. Really liked the way that guy said it. I think his name is Kaylor Betts, the Way Forward podcast. I don't know what the podcast is called, but the organization is called Way Forward, the guy who does the podcast. So, going back to the whole friends thing. Yeah, I've been going through this massive awakening. So that has obviously ruffled a lot of my feathers. I've gone through all of these like dark nights of the soul, if you guys know what that means. I've had so many like times when I've been in the deepest of like, who am I? What am I? What do I believe? What is going on? What do I hold to be true? Like I've literally had to like, I don't know, go to the depths of my soul. And I still go there sometimes. I'm not done with this, but just to like really unravel who I am and what I believe in. It's been beautiful. It's been hard, but where I am today is I'm so grateful that I've been on this journey. But anyways, I started this a couple of years ago, and what I started noticing last year is a lot of my friends kind of started to fall away, and I spent a lot of time angry, blaming them, blaming myself, being hurt, being ashamed, until I started coming to this realization that like, sometimes when things hurt so much, it's easy to get really lost in the pain and the hurt and the blame and the victimhood. But what I find to be so empowering is to really dive into, wait, how am I feeling and why? Right? And I call these reflections because ultimately, how people behave is always a projection of themselves. How I take it, how I perceive what something did is a reflection for me. And by reflection, I mean that is a signal or a sign for me to dig deeper into myself and figure out what's going on inside me that hurt me so much. If, for example, if I didn't derive so much validation from my friends, my like best friend at the time not calling me back or not responding to a text that I sent her, an important text that I sent her, would not have crushed me the way that I did. So I really took this time to like dive into the feelings, be super freaking hurt, but also be like, what is coming up for me? What am I learning? And I came to this realization that this exactly what I said, that I've spent so long externally validating myself that I was feeling so ashamed for not having friends around me anymore. It was like, what did I do wrong? What was wrong with me? Why didn't they love me? And of course, it has nothing to do with me. I think it just happened to be a time where a lot of people were busy, a lot of people had things going on, but also in hindsight, now that I look back, so a realization that I've had recently that I think ties back to what I went through last year that I only just put together very recently is that I have gone through so much change in such a short period of time that, of course, I'm going through a friendship like rebirth in a sense. I have gone through such a rebirth. I am not the same person I was. I genuinely feel like every couple months I'm going through these like major shifts in who I am, what I believe in, how I want to show up in the world, how I am showing up in the world, the ideas that I have to share with the world. That how could I stay with the same friends? How could I be shifting so much but stay stagnant in this major area of our life? Like the people that we surround ourselves with are so important because we are constantly being influenced by them. And when you think about it, like your friends are constantly being influenced by the people around them. So it's so important that when we pick and choose, like that we pick and choose our friends like very meaningfully and intentionally, because we are all influencing each other in so many ways that we don't even realize. And something that the reason that I carry so much shame around losing friends is I feel like there's so much, I'm going to say this word again, programming, and not always in a bad way. Like I feel like so many TV shows I watch, so many movies I watch, especially with with female leads, they've been friends with their friends for like years, like childhood friends. When I think about like my mom and my dad, all of their friends are like their college friends. Their close friend group are their college friends. I like what I have so many friends who have childhood friends. And so whenever like I like have spent so much of my life holding on to my friends so tight, terrified of losing them, terrified of what it would mean about me. And ultimately the conclusion I came to is I have never been my own best friend. I have never fallen in love with myself. I have never looked at myself through this lens of unconditional love and acceptance. I've never even tried. And like, okay, until I had all this realization, I'd never even tried. I've been like working on self love. I talked about that in a previous video and coming to realizations around that. But I feel like having best friends always and focusing so much on my friends and creating the support system around me allowed me to like almost have this pass on loving myself and accepting myself. And I feel like when I went through this period last summer where I feel like all of my friends disappeared, it just made it so clear that I I didn't have the foundation of self-love to fall back on. So when they left me, I was crushed, absolutely devastated. And what that has taught me, and like another way I like to think about things is like I don't really get all doom and gloom about my problems anymore. I used to. I and still I will sulk like anyone else. I will be sad, I will go through sad slumps, but what I keep coming back to is what can I do to make myself the best version of me? How can I love myself so hard that people have no choice but to love me? And if I'm not my own best friend, if I don't love and adore myself, how is anyone else going to love and adore me? These are like big concepts I keep coming back to. So every time I feel sad, even now, I do feel sad about friendships, but even now, but I keep coming back to I just need to I need to befriend myself harder, stronger. I need to love the shit out of myself, because when I love the shit out of myself, that will be abundantly clear in my energy and people will have no choice but to love the shit out of me. That's just how I tend to think now. And to bring it back to another realization I had, which of course has just slipped right out of my mind. Oh yeah, slipped out of my mind. I spent so long, even to this day, holding on so tightly to my friends, feeling like I was so lucky to have someone love me that I forgot about my importance and how lucky people are that I love them and how much love and light I bring to my relationships, to my friendships. And what I've been thinking a lot about recently is as I keep shifting, if I hold on to the same friends from like, X years ago, from past versions of me, other lifetimes, honestly, I'm not making space for new aligned friends to come in. There's nothing wrong with my old friends. They're beautiful people. And it's not like we've had fights or disagreements. It's just as I shift and change, I want to surround myself with the people who I'm matched to on so many different levels, right? Like my spiritual beliefs and how I regard God and the world around me has like changed and amplified so much that I want to be around people that I can share similar conversations with, that I can connect with emotionally, friends who enjoy doing the same physical activities as me, friends who like being outside, who love nature, who like quieter life. And that's not to say that you can't have my friends can't have different interests than me. Of course they can. But I feel like what's happening is I'm just holding so tight to friends. And when I talk to them, I don't feel that level of connection anymore. I don't feel that level of like sameness holding us together. I think that, and I think that's normal. I think what I'm coming to realize is it's normal. And when I say I'm undoing all this programming, that's like part of what I'm undoing, that I don't have to hold on to friends for so long. I can like let somebody go and they can be in my peripheral. We don't have to be like friends anymore. We can still be in the same, like, general group. But the more I hold on and pull people to me, it's like the less I'm going to get back from them, because I'm finding that the same relationships aren't fulfilling me anymore. And I think that's something that I've been really trying to come to terms with, that if I it's like if all my friendship spots are taken up by people who don't have a lot in common with me anymore, and like with people who I don't share a lot of beliefs and like thought processes with, I'm not leaving any space for the really aligned people to come in. And I feel like that makes so much sense to me, because mentally, energetically, on a spiritual level, I'm holding on to people who are no longer serving me, because I'm so afraid to like look myself in the mirror if they all disappear. Because, a lot of these new friends haven't come in yet. And just like, what does that say about me if all of my friends disappear? These are some of the like unconscious or subconscious thoughts that I know run through my brain and run through me on such a deep, visceral level, that I'm really working on undoing, because the like just who we surround ourselves with is so important. Like friendships are so important for me. I'm so blessed. I think about this a lot, to have such a wonderful husband who's so supportive of me and loves me and is there for me. But I don't know, friendships just feel like such a cornerstone of life. And I feel like I want to enhance the way I've been thinking about them. I want friendships to always add to my life, not make me feel like I don't want to, something that's supposed to bring so much love and light into my life. I feel like I've been holding on to it in this like tight ass grip that hurts my hand and is, I think, damaging the relationship in some way, because it's not letting the relationship ebb and flow. Something that's coming to mind right now as I'm like thinking about this is, I like attended this class on finances or money in general. And he was talking about, when you hold on to money with a tight fist, money can't come. Sorry, money doesn't leave, but it also doesn't flow in. But when you open your hand, money comes in. Yeah, money can go, but it also, there's so much ease of money coming in. And I feel like this idea can be applied to so many different things. The more you hold on to things from a place of fear or lack, the less you're going to have. You might keep what you were able to grab in your fist, but what you might grab in your fist is nothing compared to what you could grab in an open hand, or two open hands. Um yeah, well, that was my TED talk. Um And one thing that like occurred to me recently is I love hosting. I absolutely love hosting, but I feel like I've been doing it for the wrong reasons. And recently hosting has been feeling a little empty. Like I don't feel as satisfied. My heart doesn't feel as full as it used to. And I think there's just been like this big thing. I still have so much thinking to do about friendships and like the social area of life, but I just think like there's more to it. There's something that I'm missing, that I'm grasping. And thank you so much for being my journal today, or my like not my journal, my thinking board, my processing board, because I think that there's, I don't know, I just think that there's a lot of like beliefs around friendships that are similar to mine. And I feel that way also because I come across Instagram reels that people have made where they're like, like it's like they're speaking out about stuff like this. Not exactly what I said today, but similar, in a similar vein. And it's like, it's okay to not have friends, or it's okay to not have a best friend. And everyone's like, yeah, thank you so much for saying that. Thank you so much for speaking up. And so I just feel like this sentiment probably is more, I think pervasive is the right word. Pervasive, like more like is deeper, exists at a deeper level than most of us think or know. And also everyone's different. I do have friends who are still really close to their childhood friends, and like they're their life, not life, but like they have other friends as well, but they're their closest friends. And I think everyone's different. I think like, because when I think about my husband, so my husband and I have been dating since we were 21, and we've been friends since we were 15, 14, 15. But we've grown so much together that it's like it's always worked. Like we've like stepped up together. Sometimes not always at the same time, so there's been times of friction, but for the most part we have grown and enhanced as people together, so it's worked. And I'm not saying that can't be the case with some friends, but that's not been the case for me, and I'm just coming to realize like how to convince myself on a nervous system level, like deep in my body, that it's okay. It's okay that I'm still a special, unique little flower, and I'm going to find the people that I'm most aligned with. And not every season is the same. And something I was telling when I have a new friend visiting actually right now, who I do feel very aligned with. And I was telling her that this is just not the season of friendship. And that's okay, because it's really forcing me to learn how to be okay with being alone and how to love and adore the shit out of myself, and not feel like I need other people to show me how to do that, or not feeling like I need other people to do that for me. Okay. Well, I'm always so impressed with my ability to talk for like almost 20 minutes straight. Thank you so much for listening, for being here. If this resonated with you, I would love, love, love to hear it. If there is something more that you'd like me to elaborate on, or like something else within this topic that you'd like me to go deeper in, please reach out. I would love to also just hear your thoughts and feelings, and if you've gone through something similar. You're not alone if you are, and if you have. And yeah, I just think that this is just the start of it for me. I mean, I know I'm saying it started last year a lot, but I don't know, I just think there's always a lot of learnings to everything, and a lot of, like I said, seasons to everything. But I also have faith that I'll find my people one day, and all of this is going to make so much sense. And going through all of this is going to have made me such a better, stronger person. So everything works out in the end, I know. But thank you so much for listening today, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, week, month. Well, month doesn't make sense. We just started November. But anyways, okay, bye.